Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday night, and that means only one thing. Jam beside me, what is that one thing?
Wow, you caught me off guard with that one. Of course,
Hey.
it is a TCS eSports League. Ha, I was just kidding, just testing you. I'm ready, Jam. Jam? Yes, Jam, I'm ready. The two of me. Really, we're already bacon. I'm ready as ever.
Yeah, good to hear, buddy. I'm going to be throwing you all these curveballs today because we've got some spicy old action coming up. Actually, I think spicy's wrong because I'm currently drinking some black coffee. You know what goes well in that black coffee? A lot of sweetness. So we've got some sweet broccoli coming on up for you guys here. And of course, it only gets better. Jam, I'm just going to quickly round out today's matches, just bring them up on screen for myself here. We've got Servette versus E-LVETS first on stream, then Monk versus Arctic, Sir versus Whiffmaster, Swiss Incredible Rebels. For you guys that don't know the shortened down version, of course, that's my pick for the game of the day. And then last but not least, it's always Lawsane, and this week they are taking on the crowd favorites, Silent Gaming. It's just every single week, Jam, it just gets better and better. Like, this league is really developing so nicely. It's like a fine wine, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I've been following it a little bit, and it's interesting to see what the Swiss region can bring. Obviously, not every single player on teams is Swiss. Teams are allowed one extra player who can be from anywhere. For example, from the beautiful country of Germany, as RNZ, of course, is from Team Swiss Incredible Rebels, or OTA for E-LVETS, who we might be seeing later on today, and French, German players mostly. Really, it is 3 French players, 1 German player. And that's about it. But most of them are Swiss, and I'm glad to see like a whole country in a little bit they took a slice of that country and put it on display. The best Rocket League players there are. And it's definitely delivering. League table is also looking pretty interesting right now. No teams have escaped that loss. So we have the 3-way tie for the first place, or roughly the tie, because obviously the 1 games are also taken into account. Unfortunately, at the bottom of that scoreboard is 1 lone team of monks. Well, we might see what will be happening today. We are sort of, well, we'll see what happens in the game number 2 of today, Monk versus Arctic, obviously. First, though, it's Servette versus E-LVETS.
Yeah, Servette versus E-LVETS coming up as the first match of today. Servette are looking to keep this hot streak running. They had just been absolutely dominating it as of late, Jam. Last week, we saw them take down Monk, of course. No one really saw that one coming clearly. The week before that, though, the massive one, Servette versus Lawsane. Servette being able to take down the top dogs and show it just basically how it is done. Really, really convincing wins for them, of course. Unfortunately, that was only their second game because games number 4 and 5, they were overtime. Super close series, but Servette just had the little bit of magic that was able to get them the win. Unfortunately, week 2, they did drop to Serb, but week 1, they started things off with a 3-0 sweep. So basically, Servette are doing pretty darn good at this moment. Jam, have you been watching any of the E-LVETS, though?
Oh, I mean, have seen them last week, or the week before that, when they lost, we consider it sensationally against the Whiffmasters. So that week, the week number 3, was a week of upsets. And definitely at least 2 of them happened. And this was one of them. Whiffmasters, we didn't expect them to go this strong against E-LVETS, and yet they did. And now this means that E-LVETS are currently sitting almost at the bottom of the scoreboard, or leaderboard, rather. And really, it's the opposite runs for both of these teams. It's only team E-LVETS have beaten are the Monks. So, I mean, they are not currently giving themselves a great show. It's mostly that they beat the worst team so far in the league, and right now it's all happening very badly for them. Lost to Arctic 0-3, lost to Whiffmasters on that week that we were talking about, and of course lost to Lausanne as well. So for Servette, I think it will be an easy task. We might start this week with a first sweep of the day.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. E-LVETS, they've sort of just got the rough end of the stick, essentially. Having already taken on Arctic and Lawsane, 2 of the strongest teams in this league, and then they've got Servette this week. Week 5, it is just harsh for them. The next few weeks, though, should be better, of course, until it gets that mid-season mark. That's when I'm expecting them to be able to grab some points back. But today against Servette, unless E-LVETS, pull off something extraordinary, I think this has got to be Servette. And Jam, we just did predictions before the show. You're agreeing with me, aren't you?
Yep, it's Servette all the way. There might be a little bit of wiggle room in terms of there might be an upset, and really again upsets. That week number 3 that happened with me in here seemingly was a pretty good one for surprises. There really a lot of matches just went either way, so there's still a possibility of that. But just looking at how it is on the field, it is just Servette are obviously, for me, clearly, I think, better. One against Lausanne, one against Swiftmasters themselves. Lost to the Swiss Incredible Rebels, though, so that's a team that also will be obviously breathing down their necks. Servette, Team SIR, and Lausanne currently at the top of the leaderboard, just fighting with each other, throwing punches. And right now, well, Servette obviously in a slightly worse position because they lost their direct opponent, Team Swiss Incredible Rebels, but they will be playing them again later on. So there's a possibility for them to at least get one back, tie that up, and at the end of the season, that might matter a lot.
Yeah, and we were talking about this on Monday night over on RL Aftershot, me and Jay there, when we were talking about the TCS League. And essentially, we were like, this is going to be quite an interesting one because, of course, if you look back over, just quickly have a look now, Sir was able to take down Servette. Arctic last week were able to take down Sir. So what happens, like, when, you know, it goes the opposite way, and next week we see Arctic versus Servette? If Arctic are able to take down Servette Geneva, it's like a perfect little triangle, you know, between them. And that's always an exciting thing to see because essentially these 3 teams are fighting over that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th spot. Just quickly seeing, wait, did you create a lobby now? Nope. We're just currently having a couple of lobby issues, as always happens in Rocket League. We're just waiting on Raf or an admin. He's a little bit perplexed as well, so that's unfortunately why we're stalling here a little bit. We're just gonna, you know, cut it down. We're not gonna bluff or whatever, are we, Jam? We're just gonna say it how it is.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, things happen, but we have a lot to talk about, and obviously with the teams as they are for. So, Bacon, question to you though. Do we have any players though which you specifically would like to sort of point your attention to in the upcoming matchup?
So in the upcoming match, for me, on the side of Servette, it's got to be Safir. He can just near enough pull anything out of the hat. He's got Sack and Flav there, or Flav, if you want to say that, and really extend that A, because he does have 2 A's, of course. They're perfect little playmakers for him, and he can pull some magic goals. On the side of E-LVETS, though, Otta, or his full name, Otta Shito, I think I said that right.
Close enough. He's
been fantastic as a pickup. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to get out the results they want, but Otta, if you look at the leaderboards, like the stats, it's not this week, unfortunately, because he has just been overtaken from not so good last week, but he was leading with something like the most goals per game or something like that. He was really high up there, and he's been a strong driving force for this E-LVETS side. And of course, you've got Lepre and Arku sitting beside him, essentially being a lovely little duo act with Otter coming on in and pulling off, like, if you remember NRG back in the day when they had Jacob on their roster, near enough being a wild card player, which pulls off these fancy goals, which we always love to see. And of course, your opponents don't because they're not expecting them.
Well, yeah, I'm definitely picking Ota for myself for the E-LVETS side, but instead of Servette, I think Sack would be my player to watch. He is currently quite great in terms of converting his shots into goals. He doesn't need much, but those he hits, it's basically it's not 100%. That would be crazy for something like that already in the 5th week of the tournament. But I would expect Sack to be really great. We just put in one after the other into the net, leading Servette to victory.
Yep, well, we are just about ready to go. The lobby has been set up. Everyone is on in. We're going to be seeing Servette Geneva going up against E-LVETS. Servette will be in the blue and E-LVETS, well, they're going to be in the orange, of course. This is definitely a tasty little starting point for today's league play because E-LVETS, I think they could do this. Jam, if we look at the playstyles of these 2 teams, E-LVETS just have to come out with some very, very strong counters, which we know they can do. They've got some very good team play between Lepre and Arku. And of course, if they can just get that ball slowly away, have Otter downfield, you could get some nice little cherry pick counter attacks, couldn't you?
Yeah, well, this the playstyle that I've seen 2 weeks ago sort of is open for that. A couple of teams are not even favoring the aerial style of play, so a lot might happen on the ground, or not enough interceptions in the air will be happening. So it's specifically for Servette and E-LVETS to maybe bring us something new, specifically E-LVETS, I'm assuming, because for Servette, both of us are considering them to be the winners of the series. It's now for E-LVETS to change our mind and really bring up something onto the field that they didn't bring previously. Versus Whiffmaster just 2 weeks ago, well, they got just outstomped, even with all those whiffs that Whiffmasters brought onto the field. And, well, I mean, living up to their name. I'm glad that the team is sometimes living up to their name. Everyone else, I guess we can make puns on Arctic being ice cold or something like that, but specifically the Whiffmasters decided to call themselves that, and they did, well, they did a lot of that going, still could beat the E-LVETS. Anyway, all 6 members or 6 players are on the field. E-LVETS, Servette, Bacon. This is our first match of the day. Well, will it be a sweep? It's to be seen, but E-LVETS really want this one and start pretty strong.
Yeah, the kind of sweep I want here, Jam, is a reverse sweep. Whoever comes out on top, I don't really care. Just give me a lot of good Rocket League action as we get underway here on DFH Stadium. Not the best weather for Rocket League, but these players will have to make do. Sack gets it over for Flav. Can't find some fear. And so this is a little bit of flip-flopping. The blue Servette side do make most of it, though, and do get it out of the danger zone. Otter putting it on a shot. Sack gets it away, and Arku wants to keep it on that midfield line. He needs assistance from Lupri, but gets caught up. Flav knocking Lupri away. Arku chasing it on in and wants to get that up and over. Oh, Safir on the line does keep it away. And these two teams are just throwing punches at each other here.
Yeah, right now, punches, but all these punches are glancing ones. Nobody can clearly make an effort, a real strong shot on target. And while Servette has been just swatting any attempts by E-LVETS away. And oh my god, Flav just sent it straight down to his own net. An own goal to start the whole thing. God, I think we've been hyping up these guys just a little bit too much. Stuck in midfield a little bit. Flav making everything, just touches the ball where maybe he should have left it a little bit for his teammates back in the defense. Instead, send it where nobody from Servette can get it. E-LVETS get a freebie at the start.
It was a nice redirect, though. We'll give him that.
Oh, bravo. Wrong net.
He's just got to make up for it now, though, and get an equalizer. It's looking like he could do it. So close, yet so far away. Unfortunate for him. Pre just jumping out, and Flav gets it off, looking for Sack. That's a good bouncer. Safir can't get onto it, but Flav is back. We'll say that Flav is a fantastic third to these two lads, and is just such a momentously strong player in the defense, which is what you sometimes just need. Pre off the wall, back into the center. Flav trying to go for a dodgy touch, but can't. Sack stopping it there. He wants Safir to come in, but Otter closes it on out. Flav straight up in the air with a little bit of a fake, buying time for his teammates to get back, and there is Sack waiting, keeps it to the corner. He's got the 100 boost, but no angle on the ball. Needs to get that with the assistance of Flav, knocking it out to midfield. This is awkward here. Servette just really pushed far back into their own end. So E-LVETS really need to capitalize upon it. They are getting nice 50-50s so far, but not really a goal to count.
I feel like the both teams are lacking in aggression. Well, E-LVETS have the Servette side basically pinned down on their side. They need to bring more players, and right now there's opportunity as Ota gets his ball almost on the belly free. An interesting attempt, but perhaps not exactly what they need. Not a double commit is what they need. They need just a sustained pressure on the opponent. On the side of Servette, many of these challenges, oh my god, they're just giving the ball to their opponents here in their own half. 3 players do not know what to do with the ball. Flav going backwards. Everyone misses. Sack plays it to the opponent. It is a complete and utter misunderstanding in the defense of Servette.
Was Servette up all night last night? They just seem to not be able to get anything together. Not to be, you know, too harsh on the lads, but we expect more for them. This has been some sloppy play. That's a big hit downfield. It is wide of net. But yeah, Servette, they'll be happy right now that it is a best of 5, because this first game just does not seem to have anything in it for them.
Oh my god, they got themselves a counterattack, and Flav was trying to drop it straight to Zafar. Zafar went way too strong, and bam, you already committed to players with with Sack nowhere to be seen. Bam, that's a third goal. I can only imagine maybe Bacon they're flustered because they have the one of the hosts of the RL Aftershock right now casting them. That's the only reason I can give it.
That's it. We were talking about them last week, and now they've got a little bit hot under the collar. Want to impress me? Well, maybe the tension's too high. We'll have to see as this goes on. Sack is trying some good stuff. Safir does get that into the center, and whoo. Flab makes the most out of it. Good
Now
stuff.
it's on the other side. If you look at E-LVETS, so much time given. I think it's Akro and Lupri just couldn't figure out who's going for that ball. And when you give so much time to your opponent who's already barreling down the field straight towards the net, bam, it's an easy goal for Servette to take. They haven't given a lot though. This is only a first step on the long path of getting back into this game. And while the opportunities are definitely there, E-LVETS will be keeping out their lead. Sacked, throwing himself towards the ball. Misses actually, but that still helps him. E-LVETS are unable to convert this chance.
Who knows? Still 1 minute 10 in it. This is tons of time for Servette to tie this up. They've got the wake-up call. They have got that first goal up on the scoreboard, and now it should be all happy days for them to keep this going. Sack gets it off to the corner. That bounced around and he wants to get 50-50 on it, but Otter's too strong. Flab straight down. Arku put to the center, but Sack will be the one coming out with it. Good 50-50 from Lepre. He just man marks that. All they're looking to do now, this E-LVETS side, is hold on out and keep the lead.
I think they are pretty well at doing specifically that. Servette, while they're trying to bring the ball out, seemingly they're really strong in their own half, but suddenly they get really weak in their knees as they cross the other side of the field. Servette do bring another one back as the fair on a little dribble that he gets off the pass. It's actually not a dribble. What am I even saying? Just a great pass off the back wall as nobody from E-LVETS is able to clear it. 30 seconds for Servette to tie it. We can start with the first overtime of today, and I'm currently actually looking at the previous results. We had a bunch of overtimes a couple of weeks ago as well. And Bacon, didn't you say that the previous week also was pretty overtime heavy?
We didn't actually have that many. It was we have one in the Whiff Masters game versus Silence, but the big one, nearly there. You gotta think, one goal left in there. It is down into the E-LVETS, and they're looking good enough to keep it out. And yes, Lepre clever there, just blocking it and not going to allow that to get to the wall. And E-LVETS take game number one. For me, Jam, game number one is an important one to take as it sets the tone.
Yeah, I mean, E-LVETS, while we really predicted them to lose, suddenly start off strong. This was for Servette to actually claw back. That last shot that they got on target, bam, that was there, straight on target, empty net. Nobody's there, yet they hit the post and have to go sulking after this one. This is a loss that they didn't expect, we didn't expect, but now E-LVETS are happy. They are on the throne, they're sitting smiling, while Servette now slightly nervous, considering, oh my god, what have we done so utterly wrong? And really, it feels like on both sides, there has been a lot of misses, but they've been so much more costly for Servette. Another one. Flav and Sack continuing bumping each other. Either there's some bad blood between these players, or they're really struggling to make sure that they are not crossing paths.
Well, me and Jam both predicted for Servette to take this series, and if E-LVETS do it, I don't mind too much at all. Bring it on, I say. Break down my predictions, make me question myself. All in the name of good Rocket League, I'll allow it into the center. It goes from Otter. Safir trying to find Sap, but Lepre gets into it. Tries to beat out Flab, but just can't reach the ball. And Sack did go up for it. It wasn't really needed, but keep E-LVETS questioning because we saw how much stronger Servette got into the second half of that last game. They can just keep pulling off their momentum. By all right, they should take game number 2. But E-LVETS, they seem to be the driving force here in game number 2, and there's the first goal in their favor.
It's another opener for E-LVETS. Currently looking at Sack. He had the boost, he had everything, but the ball was just so much faster than him. Unfortunate, but no way for him to redirect it anywhere else. Any touch he could have gotten it will send it straight down the net anyway. E-LVETS will finally come out alive slightly. Both of the teams seemingly to be so nervous when it comes to defense. Like they're even given the time by their opponent, and yet so cautious in bringing the ball out of their own half. Careful.
Oh my God!
Bam! There's the one. There's the man I've been trying to look out for, and finally he delivers in this one as the E-LVETS side does not challenge him. How could you challenge him? He just straight at you with 1-2 punch.
Yeah, Labrie just going across the goal, expecting a shot beyond. It doesn't, goes into the wall. He's got nothing. He's just stuck in the middle of the goal, and Sack with the 1-2-3. Beautiful stuff from him to get an equalizer, but that's the way it is, an equalizer. He's got to now find the lead. E-LVETS, they're going to be searching for that same thing as well. Sack is going up in the air. He's got 86 boost. Cheeky little touch off to the side. Can he try and line this up? No, he's allowing Flab to come on in. Flab putting the pressure on into the center. Safir can't get a shot. RQ off back towards net. Sack puts it up high. Pressure's still on, but Otter can get the ball away. Not for long as Safir puts it back into the mix. Sack off to the wall. Wants a second touch. No, is called off by Flav. And that's still dropping about all these shots, but nothing amounting from it. Apart from that counter, I called the counters earlier, Jam.
This came out of nowhere. Ota straight to Lupri on the wall, and since Zafir is already late, look at that. He's just changing his pass. He knows that he's beat to that. Pass from deep for E-LVETS side straight into the side of Servette. Make sure that Servette themselves are caught off guard, and they can just basically catch everyone who's on Servette in defense in the net, slightly in the wrong position, and that helps them to score an easy one. Like you see these in simple games, just a straight shot off the flank, where it's pretty hard to read the angle as well.
Just going wide. We saw Syntax actually talking about it earlier in Twitch chat and was saying that actually with the breakup of the national roster and the international one for Servette Geneva, you know, Servette Geneva, the international roster getting picked up by Mouse Sports, this is actually good for the national roster as they're going to be able to spend time together, scrimming, practicing, and you can see it really works them as they've been putting on a strong case, but they've still got that little bit of chemistry to pull off together, hence why these counterattacks are able to break through.
But still, look at that Flav with a chance of his lifetime, and yet she just sends it wide. Again, open opportunities. The goalie already sort of flabbergasted a little bit by the fact that he has been shot at several times. And now finally the drive-by for Servette finally works. Sack needed to demolish the goalie. That's the only way that Servette seemingly can walk it in against the E-LVETS side, because E-LVETS really keep all their free players close to the net. And to break through that, you need a jackhammer.
Yeah, just going to say, chat, a quick little life hack for you. If the goalie keeps saving your shots, remove the goalie from play. He's not going to be able to save anymore. So that is 2-2 between these two teams. And who is going to take the lead? Oh, a nice little drop down. Sack didn't quite read it quick enough. I'm sure he'll get another chance here. Flab putting the shot on just wide, but here comes Sack. It's a good shot, but Arku wants there. Goalie stays strong. Someone demo Arku. It's what Servette need right now.
They need just everyone gone, because E-LVETS are defending with all the players, and Lupri doesn't have any saves. And right there in the attack, well, that could have been almost thwarted. If Servette could have scored out. Oh, another strong shot. E-LVETS, really props to them, sustaining so much from Servette and yes, E-LVETS sustaining so much from Servette and still somehow surviving. It is something amazing. They need to be proud of themselves, and really they're not that quick of coming out of their own half. It's just that Servette keeps the shots going, but they're pretty slow, one after the other. There's a big pause. There's time for E-LVETS to recover.
Oh, so close. Like I said in our build-up, Jam, it was doing me a big old sad here, just seeing E-LVETS towards the lower end of the table. This is a team that has so much potential, and unfortunately they just had to fight the big dogs in the early stages. But here, this big dog just doesn't seem big enough. E-LVETS really picking it up and going toe-to-toe, head-to-head against them. 10 seconds remaining, and we might see another overtime here. Lapri picking it up. It's going high with it. It's dropping in front of the net, but kept away. Otter here, buddy. Keep it to the ground. He's done very well. Saw how he's blocking that with his car jam. Very, very clever now to close out the game and send us into overtime.
This is a great chance for E-LVETS. They hold on or held on rather, if I'm speaking English, but is it for too long? Sack and the rest of the Servette team are already attacking. Seemingly Servette just want now to play dirty, keep E-LVETS in their own half. And I think at some point it will definitely break, unless we see E-LVETS doing one of those counterattacks. Really, you've pinpointed the fact that the counterattacks will be deadly against the Servette side. And seemingly that's exactly the key for E-LVETS to break through from this overtime. Servette are just out there. 14 shots already. Oh, better be careful though. Their rotations are still slightly iffy. Just 3 players and a little bit of a bunch. A caboodle of players, but I don't think that's exactly what they're going for.
I love that word, caboodle. Just, It's just such a nice sounding word, and RQ, unfortunately, that's not a nice sounding hit. Because guess what? It was silent. There was no hit to it. Sapir is going for the aerial single play. Can he do it? No, blocked out by RQ. The attack still continues. Sack out wide. Safir needs to get boost, and so that's the breakdown in the attack. Flav, very nicely done to get off to the side, but the attack continues. Safir trying his luck, wants to follow through. RQ off wide. Tried to find RQ there, but just couldn't. Big clearance downfield. Sack does get a touch, throwing Lepre off, and Flav, who's wide. These attacks, they're just so close to the mark, but unfortunately, a goal has not just been found yet after a minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah, both teams not exactly cautious. All of them want it. All of them are going out. It's just that silent hit. It's just that it's a little bit of a slap. It's not a hit. It's mostly a slap, a whack at the ball, but never a solid touch, never a solid connection. And defense is obviously playing their part as well, so props to them on both sides. I'm currently looking. Yes, I won't be looking anymore. Finally, there's one from the other side. I feel Sat wasn't exactly converting them one after the other in this game, but he gets a redirect on the other side of the field. Counterattacks work this time, but only not in E-LVETS' favor, but for Servette. They break through out of this, but really, I'm getting the feeling that now they should be really grateful that this ended this way, because E-LVETS brought them to this point, and they could have as easily gotten the same result in this game and bringing it into a 2-0 in the series. Right now, it's a tie series. Servette, E-LVETS, 1 apiece.
So just quickly having a look, you guys can see the chat now. We just got to quickly go to break, because it seems Lepre is just got something a little bit wrong. Don't know. The players all speculating it's got to be hacks here, because E-LVETS just need that little bit extra to be able to take down Servette now, because Servette, we've noticed it after that game 1, they're slightly on the up. They're just getting that little extra bit onto their opponents. And for me, Jam, it's just more that accuracy in the shots that they can pull off. We saw Sack, yeah, rightfully so. You pointed him out as the one to look for, and he has been that, especially in game number 2. What for that wall rebound goal, and then there the cherry pick down the field redirect. He has been an instrumental part to this team.
They're definitely putting a ton of shots against E-LVETS. Is just the feeling that they're pumping up the stats, and they're really looking threatening. And obviously those 3 goals have to come for something, especially those beauties from Sack. But I still feel like most of these shots are just against the defense of E-LVETS, sometimes in just awkward situations, caught a little bit off guard, but still the exact threat is never there. So they need these. Just like previously, E-LVETS needed it and Servette needed it in game number 1. They need to put more numbers up front. Otherwise, it's constant attacks, but so many breaks and pauses in between those attacks that E-LVETS make a save, have time to recover, come back, bam, just like here, Lepre. That almost doesn't count as a save. He basically was in the way of the ball and drove past it at 20 miles per hour. That is not a save. That's just a strolling evil.
It's not really feeling like Rocket League with a stroll, is it? No, you've got to be going at it 100 miles per hour. 130, 140 kilometers per hour? Rough maths there from me. But super fast nonetheless. 50 seconds already gone past without a goal. Who's going to be the first one to get it here in game number 3 between Servette Geneva and E-LVETS? E-LVETS trying to put themselves as the first one on the board, and it is going to be Lepre.
Lepre, well, we kind of consider himself a little bit lucky, because was that a goal? That was against the post. I don't think the angle will actually work for him. Hey, a little bit of helping help from Servette. Will you score on us? we score on you, we will score on ourselves as well. Just a little bit of helping hand. Again, what E-LVETS really need. Oh, two goals. Okay, hold on. Players were joking in the chat that Lupri indeed is installing wall hawks and aimbots. I've never heard of a cheat that actually makes your opponents score on themselves, but I mean, if anywhere, then I guess it's Rocket League.
Yep, so this is the new hack in Rocket League. When you take over your opponent's controller and then just make them own goal. Oh, fortunate. Lupri, clearance downfield. Safir picks it up. Otter does get a bit of a block and sends it off, so it's stuck in the midfield. Sak punches that forward. Otter needs to get us away. Sak intercepts. This is now dangerous. Safir readies himself. Not really ready enough, and Otter will clear that away downfield. Aku chases it into the wall. That's lined up for Lupri. Can't make it a hat-trick with a missed jump. Maybe he was trying to go for a fake. All questions we won't need answering as this game continues onwards. Otter down to Lupri into the corner. Lupri trying to find Otter once again. These two just back between them. It's a game of keep you up here, and it is a good game with Otter coming out with a third goal for E-LVETS.
Servette might be playing a little bit of keepy uppy, but they are not playing keepy away from E-LVETS. It is a pass straight to them, clear off the wall, straight into the heads of their opposition. It's a little bit of a hurried one, just hit it for the hitting sake, not thinking well it will end up. And when there are two players from the opposing side just following you tightly, you can't afford yourself to just put it straight where they can reach it, especially where you then later in that situation are completely out of it. E-LVETS, it is a complete another change. Well, Servette can get those double taps going. And on this one, no Flav is already leaving. E-LVETS is just getting everything done on the other side of the field. 3 shots, 3 goals, and might be a 4th one. Yep, there will be a 4th one and a long-range effort because we haven't had that one just yet. E-LVETS running away with the game number 3 after it is a such a round. It is. I'm speechless because Servette, it's their game to win. Continue that roll. Because what they got 15, 16 shots is definitely, especially within the overtime, right now they're being kept to almost squadouche.
Good evening, and everyone, let's welcome E-LVET into the TCS eSports League because they have finally turned up. They are finally putting on the performance that we were expecting with these fantastic goals. Maybe not the own goals, who knows? They may just be Jedis, and though we've got some monks there. But Servette, questions now on you. 2 minutes remaining. And you've at least got to get this close to an overtime situation just to keep the morale going into game number 4. That's a good one, Safir.
It is off of confusion on this side of E-LVETS. Oda, I think it was his ball to take. He was on the wall. He fantastically not only put it up in the air, he landed on the wall and then got close for a clear. Not exactly sure why he didn't go for it. I think someone from Servette was challenging him and he decided against it. Instead, it's confusion on the ground then for E-LVETS as they are all right there. I mean, confusion. Who the heck cares? Lupri on the other side of the field makes sure that everyone knows his name, even with a little bit of punching duel, exchanging elbows with Sak. He does not stop and goes straight to the net. 5-1, the biggest scoreline we've had so far. E-LVETS will be pretty happy with this one. 4-goal lead with 2 minutes down. It's pretty unlikely. Servette, lots of shots, but not exactly lots of goals.
Yeah, Lupri with absolutely zero chill. Just going to pull that one off. And finally gets a goal of his own, because remember, they were 2 own goals before. Still, though, he's got a hat-trick, and that's only going to buffer up his stats, which, well, we're not going to argue with. Safir does get a touch. Not good enough. Back into the center. Aku pops it. He's looking for Otter. Lav cuts in front and Sak's after that. Sak can't get the finishing touch, and so off the wall, Safir. We know what he can do. There's the flip reset dodge, but not good enough to get a goal. And so counter-attack once again. Lupri, not good enough this time, buddy.
Yeah, seemingly the kryptonite of Servette is E-LVETS. Everything, like Servette are looking great. Like that last attempt from Sak, he got the ball stolen right from under his nose. He was already ready to hit it with his bumper. Instead, he found himself without a ball off the crossbar and in. That's not going anywhere else but that. Servette, something about that crossbar is just magnetic. The ball is attracted to it. And those second touches, double taps, anything is going for them. That's a starter, but God, Bacon, I don't think this is happening. E-LVETS should be going away with this one, unless a collapse happens. A black hole opens in the net of Servette, and then it starts spewing goals back at E-LVETS net. I don't know what should happen for E-LVETS to completely break down and lose this.
Servette, I dare you to do that. Come on. Bring this to an overtime. As I always say, Jan, more games, the better. E-LVETS have worked their little old wheels off to get this far. Servette, though, they can just be some monsters at time. Like I said, it's not looking like this game is going to be stopped, and so we could be moving to match point pretty swiftly. So we're looking to go into game number 4 now. E-LVETS 2-1 up. And all we can say is, my, haven't you done well today, E-LVETS?
No, this is what they want. This is what have been missing, really. Their win against the Monk, it was to be expected, and really only one game won against any other teams with Masters. Again, that was 2 weeks ago. Right now, 2 games. That's basically their second best result so far, and that's a pretty important result as well against Servette, a team that most likely will be up there at the end of the season and taking points or even maybe taking series off them. Wow, that counts for a lot. But Bacon, you saw what happened. Game number 1, barely eking out. E-LVETS got that one. Then Servette turned this around completely, and while the scoreline was still pretty close, you could see how Servette was up there in their face, like a dozen of shots plus, obviously. And then a complete turnaround again. It's just so back and forth. It is. Sometimes we see that on the field, but more often than not, we see it in games as well, exchanging one after the other. Beauty of Rocket League, the horror of Rocket League is so hard to say, but I think it makes it enjoyable.
It definitely. I'm just going to say now, Servette, they've been their own problem. Essentially, their shots have been a little bit off target today. They've still got the speed over E-LVETS, but the problem is those shots, they've not been really sure when to hit off the backboard to another player and when to sink it. Also, when they have been going for those shots, they've been going a little bit wide. Servette's still very much in a position here where they can take the series, and well, this game number 4 could decide the series as E-LVETS, like I said, 2-1 up in this best of 5. E-LVETS here could be a massive win for them, and of course, for their opponent, Servette, this should be a win for them on paper. So E-LVETS, we challenge you for the upset here as we get into game number 4. Already 20 seconds gone past, and these two teams trying to find the first goal between them.
So far, E-LVETS have been really good at specifically that, finding the opening goal with any means. Right now, the opening goal will be happening side. Look at defense of E-LVETS. Just pinpoint this moment. I want to freeze frame and that scratch record. You wonder how I ended up in this situation? It's because you're bumping each other quite a lot. E-LVETS really eager to get into the net. Everyone wants to play the goalie. But there's, too many cooks situation, Bacon. Too many goalies will spoil the situation because the goal is narrow and tiny. And Servette are pretty good at this one. Another touch. Wow, I just love that backboard, Servette. Opener for Servette will mean quite a lot, but Lupri does not care about any openers. Quick counterattack. Bam. Thank you, ma'am. We're gone. Tie game.
It's interesting, yeah. E-LVETS, too many players in defense. Servette, too many players in attack. Quickly thrown around. Jam even pointed at me with the old finger guns going, hey, you got it. And there we go. Tied up game. What is going to be better? Too much defense or too much attack? We'll have to find out. Of course, E-LVETS' counterattacks have been phenomenal so far. The attacks from Servette, we've seen better, but Sack's goal earlier, probably one of the best, I'm still going to say, because that is pretty darn swish.
Well, Sack, really still the player to watch out for on Servette's side. Zafar and Flav, I'm pretty sure they're bringing up the rear as well. On the defense, though, we might consider to be thinking about something else, really. Servette, just like E-LVETS, sometimes struggling to figure out who indeed should be going for the ball. Sack started well. You could see that it had promise. All that dribble, twisty, turny. Couldn't work out. Oda, though, find himself, oh my god, in front of him. That's so many opportunities just not given to them. Lupri will not bring it either. And now it's Servette being tested out. How long can they endure against E-LVETS just coming in time and time and putting a shot after shot?
The problem is these passes, these shots are just not hitting the mark. It's unfortunate. They're super awkward. You can't blame E-LVETS for trying. Lepre sent back in net. That's a good hit downfield. He's looking for Otter to carry this into the corner. Does find it, but that's a big boy clear from Safir all the way down to the E-LVETS side. Arku does get up into here. Otter just missing it. Couldn't get the redirect down to net. Well, there were defenders. Sack we were clear. That is aimed at goal, and Arku rightfully puts it to the corner. So this is starting to feel a little bit more humdrum in this game number 4, as of course Servette now trying to focus a little bit more on their defense to make sure these goals don't come off from the E-LVETS side.
And I feel that's actually helping them. And when they're concentrating on defense, their clear seemingly are also improving compared to E-LVETS, who is just, they need 2 or 3 touches just to bring the ball on the other side, and then they immediately lose steam. Going on against the Servette, just basically iron wall defense. While Servette are pretty good at really booming it down the field and making sure that the ball reaches the other side of the field pretty quickly, and while the E-LVETS are sometimes even struggling to make those clears happen.
Arku does get out. That's perfect for Otter to put to the corner, but unfortunately, they're in a super sticky situation. Just this ball will not leave the E-LVETS side. The drop down. Safir can't get a result out of it. Over to Otto, who does a miss dodge. It's fine. They still keep control of it. Arku intercepted by Flav, and off to the backboard it goes. Otto, a great clear downfield. But yeah, we're just seeing a game of clears here. New hit drama on HBO, it seems.
Game of clears? I suppose game of whiffs as well. Oh my god, another one's coming in and flame.
That was perfect.
Oh, the composure of him as well. Really, when you have an opponent straight against you, challenge straight behind you, he just waits for him. He said Sparto and make sure that his opponent just goes past. Bam, wham. Another one of those thank you, ma'ams. Servette pull up ahead with barely anything. This has been really the slowest game, but which only means that these goals count even more.
Yeah, there's only one separating these two, so expect another to come out. Did you just call Flav like the Swiss bullfighter there, essentially, by baiting in his opponents?
Absolutely, I did. And oh my god, there's a cheeky shot from the side of E-LVETS as well. No, it doesn't work for them, but they try to sort of surprise their opponents, knowing that their defenders you can't just straight up put it at them. No, you just need to do a little bit of a trick. Oda making a little bit of an impersonation of Flav, but not to be. Only the real master, the real Toreador can do that.
Up and yeah, Safir trying to get the pinch with Flav, but couldn't. Sak is back in defense. Otter going up against him, and that's a demo perfect! Oh, this was not what Otter wanted, but he will take it happily.
With 2 players up there, I was expecting Lupri to take it some way. Sak, I think, was already dead in the ground. He was stuck in front, and even a slight bump would have sent him flying away from the goal. Didn't need the follow. Actually, Lupri does finish it, so Oda can... Actually, he does register and assist, so I mean, job done. Another overtime looming above both teams, and this one, well, now E-LVETS really need to make that one count one time. That one time that they're allowed per, I don't know, per league or at least per week. That's their time to get that one time in the overtime.
Countdown. Just waiting for this ball to hit the ground, and there it is. Overtime. And this overtime could call it all to an end for this series anyway, because remember, so much action still to come. 3 more series in it tonight, and this one isn't over yet. Servette can bring it back. All it takes is 1 goal, and there is Sak to deliver it. We're going to game 5.
And brilliantly played by Sak himself. Only his second shot. I actually do not know where he got his first one, because for quite a while, he just has been sitting with nothing to his name. And now he makes sure that Servette stays alive, brings us to game number 5. So, no no reverse sweeps, Bacon. As much as you love them, we are just going into game number 5 naturally, I suppose. But it's still anyone's game. Come on, it's another 3-2. Servette and E-LVETS both like that, and the loser has always scored 2 goals. The winner, obviously, E-LVETS got it pretty strong in the previous game, ran away from their opponents, but not quite enough. And of course, the second overtime of the series as well. This is turning to be quite a big one. No more sweep city as this league has started. Now it's all tighty, whitey. And I'm not exactly sure where I'm going with that analogy, Bacon. So game 5.
Jam, stop talking about your underwear, buddy, and let's get on with this. Game number 5, RQ to receive that, and look at this. Servette already on the attack. Flav gets it up into Lepre, knocking this forward. RQ doesn't have the metal to chase after it. Wants to focus on that defense and is caught off by rotations of his teammates. This is super awkward. I don't have a clue what is going on. Let's just see some normality. We've had consistency, but I can say it has not been normal at all. And Flav, fantastic opener.
I think he finished what Lepre was trying to do, because Lepre got a great dribble. He somehow fell onto the ball in the end of there, but that couldn't work out. He left the ball. He went for a goalie. On the other side of the field, Flav making sure that his dribble hits the target straight up. Servette with the lead, and previously in the previous game, they got the lead and they got the game going. The only thing they need to keep out of their play is, of course, the own goals, or at least really good setups that the E-LVETS are still. They have them up their sleeves. The pass is straight to the center of the field, working out for them. Own goal opportunity. Definitely not what they're looking for. E-LVETS so far alive. Can they hit Servette on more of these counterattacks? It's still likely. I don't feel like Servette has completely eliminated that part of their play that has been striking them down. Still, sometimes a little bit too many players up front.
Well, that's where their speed comes from here, Jam, and it works for them in their super aggressive state. We know their shots just haven't been hitting the mark like that. It's super good from Safir, but just didn't hit it right to get the speed to send it into the net. Needed to roll that over. We'll have to see how this continues. Servette get the upper hand with that first goal. You can see Sack pressure and Lepre there, and Safir trying his darndest, but doesn't come out with a goal. Still at 1-1 here, 1 minute 30 in to the match. And this is the one to decide it all for this week. For these two teams, it is massive. Servette want to get that upper hand and make sure that the first team to be sitting with 4 wins, and well, for their opponents, E-LVETS, they don't want to be sitting with only the 1 win for any longer.
I think they had it all in them. This is a great opportunity for E-LVETS. I'm feeling that they have everything that it takes. Ota, with his a little bit of magic on that field. Aerial wasn't quite enough, but if that's what they can bring against the Servette, I think Servette will definitely fall down at some point. Ota, again, the challenging player. And the attack just continues, although they basically lose the ball to themselves. And look at Sack, always lurking up front, making sure that his cherry picks. That's maybe how he gets all his goals converted so well from his shots. He just makes a little, he makes no movements. He's very efficient. He makes sure that when he's up front, when he's cherry picking, his cherries are the best in the town.
That's it. Next month, you'll see it at your local supermarket. Sack's cherries, best cherries around. I saw it in What magazine anyway. So let's continue with this game, because this is what's more important at this moment. Cherries are next month. Into the corner. RQ trying to find a way out, but pressure. And Safir gets the second goal for Servette.
Oh, the precision. First of all, he dodges his opponent as there's Ota trying to challenge Zafir. Instead, Zafir just finds himself a tunnel, finds himself a little bit of a narrow, straight-up road where nobody from E-LVETS is, when they're all not exactly in position to challenge him or to stop any of his shots, and make sure that that works in the end. A couple of misses, but I think they will be pretty okay with that. Servette right now, most likely just in the defensive position. They do not want to be in attack at all. They will be trying to, but they're not going to do that all that time.
Strategy's coming out from Jam. You know it's coming down to crunch time when that happens. Sack up into the air. He's got the aerial dribble. He's got nice control, but a brilliant block from RQ is going to make that tricky to continue. Oh, but the pressure! Once again, pressure. coming out, and well, here is the third for Servette.
Oh, it seems like Lupri was outplayed by his own team. It was at Oda on the wall. Couldn't read the play, and Oda sends the ball flying past his teammate, where Servette is in a much better position to continue the attack. Such a little thing, but my God, does it account to so much? And another touch, Flav. Thankfully, I finally got the chance to say that, because that continuation, that little bit of a bullying in the air against Oda is just exactly what he needed.
Yep, and well, like a good bit of chewing gum, Flav's flavor keeps continuing onwards. 4-0 now for Servette. 1 minute 20 remains. That is 20 seconds a goal that is needed. That is a momentous task here for E-LVETS, just to get it to overtime. They've done so well so far, and it'd be quite sad, actually, I think, Jam, for them to just stop here, but they're showing what they can do on the pitch. Servette have been looking a little bit shaky at times tonight, but when it matters most, they have turned it up. Good block from Otter. Arku, you can see the goal in front of him, hits it perfectly off the side, but Safir gets the second all-important touch to get that away, and a counter starts building up. Flav locked out by RQ. Safir has been fantastic in the defense so far on that middle line. Is able to send this towards the net. Wants to try and bounce it away from Lupri, but he comes out on top. Hit down to Otter. Otter needs to find a man in the middle with this, but Flav cuts it out. Still in the danger zone, but 10 seconds remaining. This has got to be it for E-LVETS. A goal not to come, just their pride on the line. But Sack, unfortunate with Flav, trying to make it 5-0, but hasn't happened just yet. Safir on it. Couldn't keep it up. Arku can't either, and there you have it. Servette Geneva come out with the win, but boy howdy, Jam, was it a close series.
Yeah, upsets will have to wait. Unfortunately, E-LVETS came this close, but you said it. Servette, when it matters the most, it's a game number 5. It's the most important game of the day for them. They made sure that their shots from game number 2, where they absolutely dominated their opponents, came back and really hit strong, one after the other. Sack, I think, came off of the field without a single goal, and yet he had his team there to make sure that Servette is going through. For E-LVETS, there's a little bit of consolation in this one. Obviously, they picked up a couple of games, and that might count at the end of this whole when they might be tied with someone in the series, and those games will be important. Right now, they will be sitting, if I'm not mistaken, on 6 won games and 12 lost games. So an even result, I suppose. It's still not exactly what they would want.
Yeah, it's not what they want, but it's what they got at the end of the day. And E-LVETS put on a very good performance. This only does well for them. They're going up against the second strongest team in the league by rankings anyway, and from their performance so far. So E-LVETS, you have not done bad at all. You've put on a great performance today, and going in next week against Silent Gaming, that is the game which you should be looking quite favorable to win after today's performance, but we'll have to see how Silent do later, of course, against Lausanne in the last match of the evening. We've got to throw this on over to the break, guys, whilst we go get Monks versus Arctic Progressive set on up. Don't go anywhere. This, of course, has been TCS eSports League. I've been Digital Bacon, joined by Jared Jam. We'll be back after this break.